Hello everyone, I'm Bruffy1322 and this video is going to show the fastest fully upgraded utility vehicles in terms of top speed. We're quickly going to go over the slowest vehicles right now, and as always the position counter is in the top left with the actual top speed the vehicle achieved in the top right. This video only focuses on straight line performance, so if you're interested in racing where braking, cornering and acceleration are all relevant, check the link in the description for the lap time testing series. And if you want to know more information about this testing, including the extent to which it's accurate and how useful it is for you personally, have a read of the full description as everything that you need is in there. This video lists all vehicles and is correct as of the Supersport series update. For vehicles added after that or other classes of cars, check the playlist linked in the second line of the description, and feel free to check out my Patreon if you want to get these testing results a few days before the videos go up every Thursday. So here it is. The utility vehicles top speed video is a video that a lot of people who've been watching me for a long time have been waiting a long time to see. I used to, back when I did the original top speed, the original lap time testing videos, it was just lap times. Top speed only came in a year or so after I started doing the lap times, and whilst I went through all of the classes for top speed that were raceable, I never quite got done with the utility vehicles, and then subsequently I haven't done any top speed testing previously for any of the other vehicle classes, whether it's service, industrial, military, emergency, planes, helicopters, all that kind of stuff. I've never done it before, so although, like I said in the lap time testing for the utility vehicles video, that I had previously had some values for these vehicles scattered around in terms of lap times, that hasn't been the case for top speed. So these are the first bits of footage and the first bit of information that you guys are getting for top speeds of these utility vehicles. And the big one really is the lawnmower with a top speed of 14 miles per hour. It's incredibly slow. When it's just insane. Some of these top speeds are pretty hilarious, they're pretty ridiculous, and when you're comparing them to some of the best vehicles in the game, it's just a night and day difference. But it's good to finally be putting some top speeds to these vehicles, even though they're really slow, and in comparison to almost any other raceable class, they're way off the pace. It's just fun to put a number to these vehicles. At least I find it somewhat interesting to have the top speed values for these vehicles, and even though it's not going to make a difference because you can't use them in races, you're never going to be using a tractor, for example, which was second last in this list, in a race against somebody else, and there's no real value in knowing the values. I find it interesting and I find it entertaining, and hopefully you guys do as well. And like I said, I'm going to be making sure to do all of the classes. It's not just going to stop with the utility vehicles. It's going to be service, military, industrial, everything we're going to be covering. If nothing else, just for my OCD, to make sure that I've done everything and tested every single vehicle in the game in every single way possible. So yeah, the utility vehicles, they're pretty slow. This is probably to be expected. The list in general for top speed is pretty similar to the list for lap time, although some vehicles do somewhat better in lap time than they do for top speed. The caddies, for example, they were up in 5th and 6th places for lap time, whereas they're down closer to the 10th places for top speed. And that's, that even though these are slow vehicles, there are still some strengths and weaknesses to them. The caddies are better in terms of acceleration and traction than the utility trucks, but the utility trucks have the top speed. Even though we're not talking supercar levels of differences, there are still differences there. I'm not saying that the caddy is great in terms of acceleration, but when you compare it to all of the other vehicles that it's got to go up against, which are pretty slow, it's relatively not too bad. And it's just really fun to see some of those vehicles at the start of this video. Feel free to go back and have a look at those top speeds if you missed them at the start. But the lawnmower with 14 miles per hour, the tractor, the air tug, they're all so slow. But yeah, coming into the top 5, obviously the utility trucks were all exactly the same top speed, and it's their cornering differences and the way that they handle that makes them different in terms of lap time, as we saw in the previous video. But coming into the top 5, we've got the scrap truck in 5th place with a top speed of 77.8, and it's not too bad. We're not too bad with the top speeds now. As we get to the top end of these lists, when we're starting to see relatively reasonable top speeds, at least top speeds that we're more used to seeing from, say, the bottom end of the Vans class or the off-road class. Some of the bigger classes that have some really slow vehicles at the bottom, we are used to seeing some of these top speeds. Now the top 4 in terms of top speed is actually exactly the same as the top 4 in terms of lap time. So we've got the large tow truck in 4th place, and then we've got the small tow truck in 3rd place. The small tow truck is only gets a higher top speed because it can be upgraded. As I mentioned in the lap time testing video, only the top 3 vehicles that we see in these lists can be upgraded. So the tow truck, the small tow truck and the large tow truck are actually exactly the same under the hood and would get exactly the same lap times, but because in single player you can take that small tow truck and upgrade it in a garage, it does get a better top speed because of that. Narrowly missing out on the 2nd place to the MOC, which makes it into 2nd place for both lap time and top speed, but you will be going at a decent nearly 89 miles per hour down the highway in your MOC. But ultimately the number 1, of course, was always going to be the Sadler, with a top speed from the Sadler of 100 miles per hour exactly. At this point, feel free to subscribe if you haven't already for new testing videos every Thursday and update videos when new cars are released, and check out other classes in the playlist. But yeah, the Sadler is the only vehicle in the class to break that 100 mile per hour barrier, and it doesn't really break it, it kind of matches it really, I guess you could say. It's the only one to be in triple digits, but you know, it is, as I said in the lap time testing video, the Sadler is completely dominant in the utility vehicles class because it's just like a normal car. All the other vehicles are super slow because they're utility vehicles, where the Sadler at least has some semblance of being a regular vehicle to it. And it's actually a very close top speed to the Bison as well, which is in the Vans class. So, you know, Sadler comparison here between the lawnmower. Again, I'm not going to show the lawnmower hitting the 2nd checkpoint and the very end of the race because it's just, there's no point. But you can see straight away the difference of how quickly, in comparison to the lawnmower, the Sadler is able to, you know, hit those checkpoints despite them hitting that first checkpoint at the same time. And yeah, it's just it's probably one of the biggest differences that we see from the best vehicle in the class to the worst. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this long-awaited top speed video for utility vehicles. We got plenty more to come with all the other vehicles as well. Remember to read the description for more info, comment with your thoughts, like the video if you enjoyed or found it helpful, subscribe for more, and consider supporting on Patreon. Thank you all so much for watching, I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.